Hey, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How is everybody doing here? We just kind of popped into this real quickly here. Yeah, we've got a really tight show here today. I wanted to go over. I've been on a couple of other streams, a couple of other channels talking about this topic, talking about the affidavit that was in support of the arrest of Kohberger. And yesterday was yesterday for me. Living on the other side of the planet, your dates and exactly where that date line is and what day it is kind of gets confused a little bit at the time. I guess it was really, really early this morning, my time. About was it 2, 3, 4 o'clock this morning when Kohberger made his first appearance in the Idaho courts. So what I want to do today, really quickly here, we got about an hour to get through this, is to watch the hearing and then to go through the affidavit. This 19-page affidavit. I know other people have done it. Other people would continue to do it. But rather than being on other people's channels like I have been throughout the day and whatnot, I want to give my own opinions, my own thoughts, and my own reactions to this, independent of everybody else and whatever conversation is going on around me. So that's what we're doing here today real quick. And then about an hour, we'll wrap this up. All right, so let's just dive straight into this. Thank you, everybody that is here. Thank you for all of your support. Chat. The chat is great as always. Enjoy your time here in the chat. Frankly, the Legal Vices has the greatest chat, the Vice Squad, on the entire YouTube platform, without question. So hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Show your appreciation for this wonderful platform that YouTube provides to us. And with that, let's dive straight into this. We're going to start out in the courtroom in Ohio. It's in Idaho. I just got off work and I scrambled to set this up. My brain is still just not firing on all cylinders yet. I'm still in work mode. All right, so let's go to the court in Idaho and watch the appearance. What we're going to see is we're going to see him come in. We're going to see him in the court. There's going to be some preliminary stuff the judge goes through, and then she's going to read the charges against him. And that'll take us through to the end of the hearing. Here he is, not looking too concerned. He remains pretty calm through all of this. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. He remains pretty calm through all of this. I mean, people read a lot into that. I mean, if he reacts and freaks out, they're going to say it's a sign of guilt. If he sits there calmly like he did, oh, he's a cold-hearted killer. Everybody's going to misinterpret or they're going to interpret his actions however they want to interpret it. So don't read too much into how he reacts to this. Everybody would react differently.
We're on the record in the Second Judicial District, Latah County. This is the Magistrates Division of District Court. This is State of Idaho versus Bryan C. Kohberger, cause number CR 29222805. Mr. Kohberger is present in court. He is in custody.
I have no idea what Brunson v. Adams is.
Ms. Taylor,
So
Mr.
no.
Thompson, Ms. Jennings on behalf of the state. This is the time
Kurt is
set
your
matter for initial
on civil law
appearance.
is your Supreme
Mr.
Court guy.
Kohberger, I am going to advise you of the rights that you have in this case.
All right, this is his
With
rights.
you, and
Not his Miranda rights. These are his trial rights.
You have the following rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to the presumption of innocence. That means the state bears the burden to prove that you are guilty of this offense beyond a reasonable doubt.
Important thing to note right there. And this is whether at the end of this hour-long program or whatnot, you think he did it, whether you already think he did it or didn't do it, he is entitled to a presumption of innocence. Even if you think he's guilty in your head, even if you may even know he's guilty to a certain degree of certainty, but he is still afforded a defense. The state still has the burden of proving beyond a reasonable doubt with objective, reliable, trustworthy, properly presented evidence that he committed these murders. So even though I have my own opinions and we'll talk about them at the end, you still have to keep that open mind. And even if you think he did it, if the prosecution does not provide and prove beyond a reasonable doubt with properly presented objective evidence that he committed these crimes, he's got to go. He's got to go free regardless of what you think. That's what the presumption of innocence is all about, where the state has the ability, has the power to take away your life. They have a very solemn duty of proving that you did it. So let's continue.
You have the right to a preliminary hearing. A preliminary hearing is a probable cause hearing. At that hearing, the state must establish that more likely than not, these felony offenses were committed and you were the one that committed the felony offenses. You have a right to have that hearing within 14 days if you remain in custody. If you are bound over at that preliminary hearing to district court, if the court finds probable cause, you would be bound over to district court. And at that time, you can enter a plea of not guilty, and you can have a jury trial set within 6 months of your appearance in district court. At both your preliminary hearing and your jury trial, you have the right to confront and question any evidence or witnesses called against you. Call witnesses on
And
your
if someone
behalf.
wants closed captions,
Call
they're not called
witnesses, be
subtitles, they're
present,
closed
and
captions. They can ask
testify at the
nicely,
state's
and I'll be
expense.
happy to put them up.
You have the right to be represented by a lawyer. If you cannot afford one could be appointed to represent you based upon your financial need. You also have the right to appeal any conviction in your case. Do you understand these rights?
Yes.
I am now going to go over the criminal complaint with you. Count 1 of the criminal complaint charges you with the felony offense of burglary.
Okay, and burglary here, she's gonna hint at what the charge is, but in the state of Idaho, a lot of people will confuse robbery and burglary. Robbery is essentially taking, depending where you are, either just a taking or a taking by force of something that doesn't belong to you. But burglary, as defined in Idaho statute, is illegally entering a place, whether it's a home, a dwelling, a warehouse, an office, whatever. You're entering into a place for the purpose of committing a robbery or any felony within that place. So if you accost the judge and steal her pearl necklace outside the courthouse, that's robbery. If you go into the courthouse with the specific intent of doing something, I'm trying to think of something I shouldn't say, deleting a judge, but basically, okay, in this case, he's being charged with burglary because not that he stole something from the house, because he went into the house with the intent of committing the felony of murder. So that's what that's all about. Burglary just means going into some place, house, whatever, with the specific intent of committing a felony inside. So that's why he's being charged with burglary and murder and other things.
It alleges that the defendant, Bryan C. Kohberger, on or about November 13th of 2022 in Latah County, state of Idaho, did unlawfully enter a residence located at 1122 King Road, Moscow, with the intent to commit the felony crime of murder in violation of Idaho Code 18-1401 and 1403. The maximum penalty for that offense, if you plead guilty or are found guilty, is not less than 1 year in prison, no more than 10 years in prison, and or a $50,000 fine or both.
Those are the burglary charges. 1 to 10 years and or a $50,000 fine.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Count
Now,
2
the big
alleges
ones.
that you committed the felony offense of murder in the first degree. It alleges that the defendant, Bryan C. Kohberger, on or about November 13th, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Madison Mogen, a human being, by stabbing Madison Mogen, from which she died, in violation of Idaho Code 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. The maximum penalty for this offense, if you were to plead guilty or be found guilty, is death or imprisonment for life. Do you understand?
Yes.
Count 3 alleges that you committed the felony offense of murder in the first degree. It alleges that the defendant, Bryan C. Kohberger, on or about November 13th of 2022 in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Kaylee Goncalves, a human being, by stabbing Kaylee Goncalves, from which she died, in violation of Idaho Code 18-4001, 4002, 4003, 4004. Again, the maximum penalty for that offense, if you plead guilty or are found guilty, is death and/or imprisonment for life. Do you understand?
Yes.
Count 4 alleges that you committed the felony offense of murder in the first degree. It alleges that the defendant, Bryan C. Kohberger, on or about November 13th of 2022 in Latah County, Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Xana Kernodle, a human being, by stabbing Xana Kernodle, from which she died, in violation of Idaho Code 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. Again, the maximum penalty for that offense, if you plead guilty or are found guilty, is up to death and/or imprisonment for life. Do you understand?
Yes.
Count 5 alleges that you committed the felony offense of murder in the first degree. It alleges that the defendant, Bryan C. Kohberger, on or about November 13th of 2022 in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Ethan Chapin, a human being, by stabbing Ethan Chapin, from which he died, in violation of Idaho Codes 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. And again, the maximum penalty for this offense, if you plead guilty or are found guilty, is up to death and imprisonment for life. Do you understand?
Yes.
And Mr. Kohberger, would you like to represent yourself, hire a lawyer, or see if you qualify for court-appointed counsel?
I have court-appointed counsel.
Court has reviewed your application for attorney at public expense. I do find that you are indigent and do qualify for court-appointed counsel. I will appoint Ms. Taylor to represent you in this case.
So that's the lady sitting next to him is his court-appointed lawyer, and this is the prosecutor who has affectionately become known as Santa Claus, Prosecutor Santa Claus, and someone else from the DA's office.
Ms. Taylor, have you had an opportunity to speak with Mr. Kohberger about speedy preliminary hearing and setting this matter?
Your Honor, I have. We would ask the court to set the status hearing in a week or two to make a final determination.
Okay. And Mr. Thompson, Ms. Jennings are in agreement with that.
That's fine with the state, Your Honor.
I will go ahead and set this matter for a status hearing then on the calendar on January 12th at 10 o'clock a.m. We will make sure notice is sent, and then Ms. Taylor, do you wish to argue bail at this time?
Your Honor, I would like to ask the court to consider setting a bond. Mr. Kohberger right now is on a no bond hold, but it's a limited request as I don't have enough information. We are new to the case. We haven't reviewed very much in the way of information about the case, and we have just done our own work on the case. But we would want the court to know.
Yeah, he's not getting bail. No worry about that.
And Mr. Thompson.
You know, the state's position is that Mr. Kohberger is not entitled to bond in this case. He can take charges as is noted on the arrest warrant itself. Under Code 19-816, 19-2903, both specify that given potential penalties in this case, there's no right to bail. Bennett was arrested 3,000 miles away from
So, I mean, very, very quickly, under the Constitution, you're entitled to bail, but you can be denied bail under certain circumstances. One of them is you're a danger to the community, a potential danger to the community, or a potential flight risk. And as the prosecutor saying here, he went 3,000 miles away across the country, as far as he could possibly go away and still be within the United States. So he's clearly a flight risk. So no bond. That's their argument.
At this point in time, pursuant to Idaho Criminal Rule 46B and Idaho Code 19-816 and 2903, I am going to leave the bail set in this case as no bail at this point in time until I have additional or further information.
Even if he has further additional, if she has further additional information,
So, with that,
he's
then,
not getting
Mr.
out on bail.
Kohberger, You will be remanded in custody and remain in custody on the no bail pending further proceedings in this matter. Is there anything further in the case then for today, Mr. Thompson?
Yes, Your Honor. The state is asking for no contact orders for various family members.
Yes, I would be pleased to give you the closed caption VM.
And Taylor, is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
So I will go ahead and issue those no contact orders. So I do have a no contact order then for the named individual of Dylan Mortensen, Bethany Funk.
Now, these are
as well as
all
the family members.
pretty much formulaic things. Stay away from these people. Don't have any contact with these people. They're going to give him a
Family
big
members
list of
of Ms.
names
Kernodle.
that he should never have contact with.
Excuse me. It's Mr. and Ms. Laramie, Mr. Mogen, Ms. Cheeley, and then a number of members of the Goncalves family. Those specific names will certainly be provided to you, Mr. Kohberger, by way of being provided notice of these documents. You'll get a copy of these no contact orders. What you do need to be advised of, and what will be in this no contact order, is you are prohibited from having any contact with them whatsoever. You cannot contact them through a third person in writing, or by any electronic means. You cannot Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, use the phone to communicate with them, or otherwise any form of communication in direct or indirectly with them. You cannot engage in any conduct that would harass, stalk, threaten, use, attempt to use, or threaten to use any physical force or violence upon them, or place them in reasonable fear of bodily injury. Cannot go within or knowingly remain within 300 feet of their person or their home.
Yeah, see, this is pro forma. They can't go within 300 feet of the houses or places where these people are. He's clearly not going anywhere because he's in jail. But it's formulaic. They have to do it.
Any other place where they might be. There are no exceptions to these orders. And if you do violate these orders, it is a new misdemeanor offense. It is punishable by up to a year in jail and or a $1,000 fine or both. At this point in time, due to being in the magistrate's division here, at this juncture, I am going to issue the no contact orders for a period of 2 years. And then if it needs to be modified or changed by additional judge, it can be done so at that time. Is there anything further, Mr. Thompson? Anything further, Ms. Taylor?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. We are adjourned.
All right, that is that. So he will next be in court on January 12th at, what did you say, like 2 p.m., something like that, to Idaho time. So that is his first appearance in court in Idaho. We'll go on to the affidavit here in just a second, but let me burn through a couple of these comments that are here. The drama in the front, party in the back says, "Oh, Idaho, already hitting the whiskey?" Oh, no, not at all. We are in the process of some serious hydration. And Wild Red 1905, congratulations and thank you for being the newest member of Legal Vices. Thank you very, very much. That's deeply appreciated. Mark Sermon says, "Legal Vices, Brunson v. Adams, check it out. As a hint, they symbolically picked today, January 6th, to put it on the docket." That refreshed my memory when you mentioned when you mentioned some of the details a little bit later on. But yeah, that doesn't really affect me here in Korea. So So no. Shiki, of course it's a woman judge. Now, see, that's one thing that a lot of you, they're like, why are there so many women judges these days? Well, this is a fun fact. 60% of law school graduates are women. There are far more women graduating from law school than there are men. So there's going to be more women lawyers, more women judges, more women prosecutors than there are men. That's just, that's how the game works. So yeah, there's lots of female judges because there's lots of female law school graduates. Alan, am I ignoring you? No. But thank you very much. Why would I be ignoring you? No. I just don't see anything from you. Don't forget to hit the like button. Nope, not ignoring you. Thank you so much for the super chat. Save it for the next stream. So yeah, that's why there's so many women judges. 60% of law school graduates are women. The guy is way too calm, says Michelle. Look at his jaw though, creepy AF. See, that's the thing we talked about at the beginning of this program. No matter how he reacts, everyone's going to interpret it as being creepy. If he freaks out and starts shouting and screaming, that's going to be evidence of guilt. If he sits there calmly and quietly, that's going to be evidence of guilt. If he faints, that's going to be evidence. No matter what he does, everyone's going to find it creepy. It's a confirmation bias thing. They think, oh, that's how the guy's going to act. So that's how he's acting in their heads. Danielle, is he allowed to speak to his family? Yes, during the regular visiting hour, through the normal processes, phone calls, whatnot. He can talk to his family. Capital J, my question is, could a good lawyer turn the case against the defense because of misinformation from the police, such as no one seen this and they were all asleep, now they're awake? Or no, the police, well, we'll talk about that as we go through the affidavit. The police did an amazing job. The police intentionally withheld information, intentionally gave out some bad information about non-important elements and things like that, specifically to keep what actually happened close, so that when they do interview people, when they do question people, as soon as someone says something that is, the truth, what really happened that they didn't release to the public, they get them. I mean, that's how a lot of people go down. They mention something that the police haven't released, or the police will give out some misinformation, but the suspect will say what actually happened. So yeah, the police have nothing but commendations for me for the way they handled this. We'll go through the affidavit here right now real quick. Mark Sherman, seems like she might be decent. The state better be squeaky clean or she might find a technicality. We'll just have to see. We're far, far away. Yes, they misled us about the eyewitnesses too. It occurred to me it's probably for her protection, for the eyewitness protection, to keep the evidence pure, to do all of this. It's all there, and it's a fact that the police can lie. The police can lie. That's just a thing, and they do, and they use it, and that's how they catch alleged bad guys. So, all right, it's my turn to get into the affidavit. Everybody else did. I was on Megan show early my morning. I guess it was yesterday for most of you doing it. Now it's my turn to read it and give my two cents on here. Of course, I joined really late because I was really super late getting here. But all right, let's do this. We've got about 35 minutes left. So let's see if we can get through all 19 pages in 35 minutes. I better stop talking or it'll never happen. We know I like to talk. All right, this is Exhibit A to a larger submission to the court for the arrest and the arrest of dude here, Bryan Kohberger. I know it's still very early, but do you think the state has a strong case? Yes, they already have a strong case. Now, that's interesting. This affidavit is not evidence. It's not evidence. It is the police's view. They're showing probable cause why this guy needs to be arrested for this crime. This is the police narrative. This is just forming the basis of the arrest. The prosecutor still has to prove that he did it. All this information that's going to be mentioned in here, the prosecution still should prove that this information is correct. And this is one exhibit from a larger document. So this is not everything. They don't have to put everything they have in this document. All they have to put in this document is enough to convince a judge that he should be arrested for these crimes. So they probably have a ton more evidence that they haven't put into this document. But only time will tell. So again, this is not evidence. This isn't everything that the prosecution has. This isn't everything the police have. And this is only for the purpose of getting an arrest order in place. Wow, that didn't take long for the bots to show up, did it? Alan, have you blocked them? No, I did. All right, we've got the bots. That was quick. We've only been doing this like 30 minutes and the bots descended upon us. All righty. Exhibit A. The below information is provided by Brett Payne, who is a duly appointed, qualified, and acting peace officer in the county of, I almost said Utah, Latah, state of Idaho. Brett Payne is employed by the Moscow Police Department in the official capacity of corporal and has been trained and qualified as a peace officer for approximately 4 years. Corporal Payne is being assisted by members of the Idaho State Police against the Federal Bureau and agents of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Better slow it down just a bit. We don't want to put the Moscow Police against the FBI. All righty. On November 13th, that's the day of the murders, at approximately 2022. God dang it. Let's try this again. On November 13th, 2022, at approximately 4 p.m., Moscow Police Sergeant Blaker and I responded to 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho, hereafter the King Road residence to assist with scene security and processing of a crime scene associated with 4 homicides. Eyewitness from the police officer now. Upon our arrival, the Idaho State Police ISP forensic team was on scene and was preparing to begin processing the scene. MPD Officer Smith, one of the initial responding officers to the incident, advised he would walk me through the scene. OFC Smith and I entered the King Road residence through the bottom floor door. So that's the first floor door, because we know there's like the back door, the sliding glass door on the deck is on the second floor. So they went through the bottom floor door on the north side of the building. OFC Smith and I then walked upstairs to the second floor. OFC Smith directed me down the hallway to the west bedroom on the second floor, which I later learned through Xana's driver's license and other personal belongings found in her room was Xana Kernodle's. Hereafter, Kernodle room. Just before this room, there was a bathroom door on the south wall of the hallway. As I approached the room, I could see a body, later identified as Kernodle's, lying on the floor. Kernodle was deceased with wounds which appeared to have been caused by an edged weapon. Also, in the room was a male, later identified as Ethan Chapin, hereafter Chapin. Chapin was also deceased with wounds later determined, autopsy report provided by Spokane, redacted. So all of the details of his injuries were redacted. That indicates that they were so bad, or the injuries were so extraordinary that they just don't want the police reading. They just don't want the public reading them. So whatever was on here, the description of the wounds have been redacted. Again, likely just because they were probably horrific. County Medical Examiner dated 15/20/22 to be caused by sharp force injuries. I then followed OFC Smith upstairs to the third floor of the residence. The third floor consisted of 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. The bedroom on the west side of the floor was later determined to be Kaylee Goncalves, hereinafter Goncalves' room. I later learned from review of Officer Nunez's body camera. Yeah, so they have some body cam footage of this, which we're probably never going to see, even at trial. I would guess that they don't show that. There was a dog in the room. That solves the mystery of where the dog was. Was the dog inside? Was the dog outside? Was the dog downstairs? Where was the dog? So the dog is in a room on the 3rd floor, in Goncalves' room. When the Moscow police officers initially responded, the dog belonged to Goncalves and her ex-boyfriend, Jackie D, you'll call him. I found out from my interview with Jack D on November 13th, 2022, that he and Goncalves shared the dog. Oh, how postmodern. OFC Smith then pointed out a small bathroom on the east side of the 3rd floor. This bathroom shared a wall with Madison Mogen's, hereafter Mogen bedroom, which was situated on the southeast corner of the 3rd floor. As I entered this bedroom, I could see 2 females in the single bed in the room. Both Goncalves and Mogen were deceased with visible stab wounds. I also later noticed what appeared to be a tan leather knife sheath laying on the bed next to Mogen's right side. When viewed from the door, the sheath was later processed and had a K-bar USMC and the United States Marine Corps Eagle, Globe, and Anchor insignia stamped on the outside of it. So this is why they were looking for, as I said, a K-bar style knife, because they knew it was a K-bar knife, which is Marine Corps issue. Black blade. It's got a blood groove in it. The hilt has the cross piece on the hilt extends on both sides. It's got a leather handle. A tight wrapped leather handle with some grooves in it. And as we talked about earlier today on Megan Fox's channel, that's because it was designed for hand-to-hand combat. Your hand gets slippery and sweaty and bloody and whatnot, and your hand can slip. So they have these grooved leather this grooved leather handle that you can hold on to really well so it doesn't slip when you start using it for hand-to-hand combat. So the police knew they were looking for a K-bar knife because he dropped the sheath there. And another thing that indicates to me is these two girls on the third floor were likely, in my mind, the first to be killed. I would guess in the heat of the battle or the heat of the stabbing, or he dropped the sheath. And then he goes downstairs to do the other two murders. And then at some point he's like, maybe he's thinking, oh my God, what'd they do with the sheath? And then it's too late to go back. He can't find it. Was it upstairs? Is it downstairs? Whatever. But anyhow, he ends up leaving this K-bar leather sheath there at the scene. So this is on the third floor. The Idaho State Lab later located a single source of male DNA suspect profile left on the button snap of the knife sheath. At the top of the sheath, where the hilt rests, the very, very top, there is a button that snaps over. And you just manipulate it with your thumb. When you press it shut, you normally press it with your thumb or whatnot to snap it in place, and then use a finger or your thumb to flip it open. And that is they managed to get enough DNA evidence from that button. So, kudos to science for really developing DNA technology. So as part of the investigation, numerous interviews were conducted by Moscow Police Department, officers, Idaho State Police detectives, and FBI agents. Two of the interviews include BF and DM, both BF and DM. These are the peeps who were inside of the King Road residence, the two survivors. These are the two surviving girls, BF and DM. Now, this is where we get into some interesting information. This is where we get into the nitty-gritty of what's happening while all of this is going on. BF's bedroom was located on the east side of the first floor of the King Road residence. Based on numerous interviews conducted by MPD officers, ISP detectives, and FBI agents, as well as my review of evidence, I've learned the following. Again, this is hearsay, but that doesn't matter because this is not evidence. This would, like I said, it's not evidence. Just don't treat anything in here as actual evidence. This is the police are saying this is what they told me. So we have to arrest the guy, charge him, and then let's find out. Let's find out what the state can prove. On the evening of November 12th, 2022, Chapin and Kernodle are seen by BF at the Sigma Chi house on the University of Idaho campus at approximately 9 p.m. on November 12th to 1:45 a.m. on November 13. BF also estimated that at approximately 1:45 a.m., Chapin and Kernodle returned to the King Road residence. So they go home at 1:45. Also stated that Chapin did not live in the King Road residence, but was a guest of Kernodle. They were boyfriend, girlfriend, and I guess he was just staying the night. Goncalves and Mogen were at a local bar, the Corner Club, in Moscow. Goncalves and Mogen can be seen on video footage provided by the Corner Pub between 10 p.m. November 12 and 1:30 a.m. on November 13. At approximately 1:30 a.m., Goncalves and Mogen can be seen on a video at a local food truck vendor called the Grub Truck. We've all seen those videos. And there's the mysterious hoodie guy, which turns out, hey, not him. The Grub Truck live streams video from their food truck on the streaming platform Twitch, which is available for public viewing on their website. This video was captured by law enforcement. A private party, redacted, reported that he provided a ride to Goncalves and Mogen at approximately 1:56 a.m. So they get home about 11 minutes after the other two girls did, the two survivors, from downtown Moscow in front of the Grub Truck to King Road residence. Okay, I guess that's when they left, and it takes like 4 minutes to get there. So 15 minutes later, they get home. BM and BF both made statements during interviews that indicated the occupants of the King Road residence were home by 2 a.m. Everybody's home. and asleep or at least in their rooms by approximately 4 a.m. This is with the exception of Kernodle, who received a DoorDash order. This is where things get really, really, really interesting from a timeline perspective. They get some DoorDash at 4 a.m. Kernodle does. Law enforcement identifies the DoorDash delivery driver who reported this information. DM stated she originally went to sleep in her bedroom on the southeast side of the second floor. DM stated that she was awoken at approximately 4 a.m. So that's about the time the DoorDash guy gets there, is the time she wakes up. DM wakes up, and she's on the second floor. By what she stated, it sounded like Goncalves playing with her dog in one of the upstairs bedrooms, which were located on the third floor. A short time later, DM said she heard who she thought was Goncalves say something to the effect of, "There's someone here." Now, this is the thing. There's someone here. Does this mean she heard Goncalves say, "Oh, there's someone here"? Or is this when the DoorDash guy shows up and she's like, "Oh, there's someone here. You know, they got the DoorDash." We don't know what that means. That's why I hate transcripts. You can't tell the inflection of the voice. How did she hear this voice? Was it, there's someone here? Or was it, "Hey, there's someone here. Go get the freaking food"? We don't know. Just a review of the records obtained from a forensic download of Kernodle's phone. Definitely not Brandon. Wait, is today not Friday? What's going on, Griffmaster? That's coming up after this. But we'll add this to the pile. Just hold off for another hour. We'll add that to the list. Thank you, though. Yes, this is the pre-stream. All right. A short time later, DM said she heard what she thought was Goncalves saying something to the effect of, "There's someone here." Whatever that means, we just don't know. A review of records obtained from a forensic download of Kernodle's phone showed that this could have been Kernodle, as her cellular phone indicated she was likely awake and using the TikTok app at approximately 4:12 a.m. So someone is using, and again, TikTok reports everything. They know what you're doing, even if you're not uploading something or download. Just anytime you touch your phone, every time you talk around your phone, whatever, it's being recorded, is being, audio, video, everything, swipes, key patterns, everything is going somewhere in the universe. So they can tell when the phone is being touched and used. DM stated she looked out of her window but did not see anything when she heard the comment about someone being in the house. DM stated she opened her door a second time when she heard what she thought was crying coming from Kernodle's room. DM then said she heard a male voice say something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Who that was, what that means, we just don't know. But that's interesting. Kind of spooky and creepy. So there's somebody here, and a man's voice. I guess she didn't know if it was the boyfriend or if it was a stranger. She said a man's voice saying, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." At approximately 4:17 a.m., a security camera located at 1112 King Road, a residence immediately to the northwest of 1122 King Road, picked up distorted audio of what sounded like voices or a whimper followed by a loud thud. So if you're talking the next door house, that's what, 30, 40, 50 feet, and the security camera is picking up the crying or the voices and a loud thud from that far away. Why aren't the girls downstairs hearing it? There's been people that have lived there that have said you hear all the noises in the house. There's been other people that have lived in that house that said you can't hear anything between the floors. But there was also alcohol consumed. They could have, just been drunk. They could have been asleep by that point. There's a million reasons why they may not have heard anything. A dog can also be heard barking numerous times starting at 4:17 a.m. And the security camera is less than 50 feet from the west wall of Kernodle's bedroom. DM stated she opened her door for the third time after she heard the crying and saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking toward her. That's kind of creepy and spooky. Why was he wearing a mask? It was cold. He's a murderer hiding his face. He's practicing good mask wearing, COVID policy stuff. So while she's in the house and she sees dude in black wearing a face mask walking towards her. Describe the figure as 5'10" or taller, male, not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows. The male walked past DM as she stood in a frozen shock phase. Yeah, I'd imagine if you hear all these noises and you come out and you see this big black shape walking towards you, you freeze. Now, she's coming under a lot of fire on social media and stuff today for not doing anything, for panicking, for not reporting it to the police. But what do you do? I mean, you're a young girl. You've had a bit to drink. You're sitting there in the house. You're probably just starting to sober up, and you go out and you just see you hear this, and you see there's somebody in your house, and some black figure walks towards you. I don't know what I'd do. The male walked towards the back sliding glass door. DM locked herself in her room after seeing the male. DM did not state that she recognized the male. This leads investigators to believe that the murderer left the scene. So all of this, they can pretty much pin the murder down at 417, right around there, give or take a minute or two. Oof. The combination of DM's statement to law enforcement, reviews of forensic downloads of records from BF and DM's phone, and a video of a suspect video as described below leads investigators to believe the homicides occurred between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. During the processing of the crime scene, investigators found a latent shoe print. Shoe print, that's not a big piece of evidence. If you watched Megan Fox's show late yesterday or whenever the hell it was in this crazy mixed up time zone laden world of ours, Steve Gosney was there, and he was also talking about how shoe print is just kind of a nothing. It could be anybody's shoe. Yeah, so it doesn't hold a lot of weight. Shoe print does not hold a bunch of weight, so we can kind of ignore the shoe print. This was located during the second processing of the crime scene by the ISP forensic team by first using a presumptive blood test and then an amino black, a protein stain that detects the presence of cellular material. The detected shoe print shows a diamond-shaped pattern similar to the pattern of a Vans-type shoe sole, just outside the door of DM's bedroom, located on the second floor. This is consistent with DM's statement regarding the suspect's path of travel. How creepy is that too? She locked herself. She saw the guy. She locked herself in a room, and then the footprint is found in front of her door. Ooh. As part of the investigation, an extensive search, commonly referred to in law enforcement as a video canvass, was conducted in the area of the King Road residence. This video canvass was to obtain any footage from the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022 in the area and the King Road residence and surrounding neighborhoods in an effort to locate the suspect or suspect's vehicle traveling to or leaving from the King Road residence. This video canvas resulted in the collection of numerous surveillance videos in the area from both residential and business addresses. I've received numerous videos that were collected, and I have had conversations with other MPD officers, ISP detectives, and FBI agents that are similarly reviewing footage that was obtained. This is what the videos saw. A review of camera footage indicated that a white sedan, hereafter suspect vehicle 1, was traveling westbound. We'll just call it vehicle 1. Traveling westbound on the 700 block of Indian Hills Drive in Moscow at approximately 3:26 a.m. and westbound on Steiner Avenue at Idaho State Highway 95 in Moscow at approximately 3:28 a.m. On this video, it appeared vehicle 1 was not displaying a front license plate. As we've heard from Megan Fox and other people, Pennsylvania does not require a front license plate. A review of footage from multiple videos obtained from the King Road neighborhood showed multiple sightings of vehicle 1 starting at 3:29 a.m. and ending at 4:20 a.m. And again, we're putting the murder right about 4:17 a.m. These sightings show suspect vehicle 1 makes an initial 3 passes by the 1122 King Road residence and then leave via Walenta Drive. Based on my experience as a patrol officer, this is a residential neighborhood with a very limited number of vehicles that travel in that area during early morning hours. Upon review of the video, there are only a few cars that enter and exit this area during that time frame. Vehicle 1 can be seen entering the area a fourth time. So we're just going back and forth 3 times. Fourth time at approximately 4:04 a.m. It can be seen driving eastbound on King Road, stopping and turning around in front of 500 Queen Road, number 52, and then driving back westbound on King Road. With suspect vehicle 1 is in front of the King Road residence, it appears to unsuccessfully attempt to park or turn around in the road. The vehicle then continued to the intersection of Queen Road and King Road, where cleverly named streets, Queen Road and King Road, where it can be seen completing a 3-point turn and driving eastbound again down Queen Road. Vehicle 1 is next seen departing the area of the King Road residence at approximately 4:20 a.m. Vehicle 1 at a high rate of speed. Vehicle 1 is next observed traveling southbound on Walenta Drive. Based on my knowledge of the area and review of camera footage in the neighborhood that does not show vehicle 1 during that time frame, I believe that vehicle 1 likely exited the neighborhood Palouse River and Congested Drive, Palouse River Drive, and blah, 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 proceeds to Windham County, Washington. Eventually, the road leads to Pullman, Washington. Pullman, Washington is approximately 10 miles from Moscow, Idaho. Both Pullman and Moscow are small college towns, and people commonly travel back and forth between them. Law enforcement officers provided video footage of suspect vehicle 1 to forensics examiners with the FBI, and that regularly utilize surveillance footage to identify the year, make, and model of an unknown vehicle that is observed by 1 or more cameras during the commission of a criminal offense. The forensics examiner is approximately 35 years law enforcement experience with 12 years at the FBI. His specific training includes identifying unique characteristics of vehicles, kind of like my cousin Vinny. And he uses a database that gives visual clues of vehicles across states to identify differences between vehicles. After reviewing the numerous observations of vehicle 1, the forensics examiner initially believed this vehicle 1 was a 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra. Upon further review, he indicated it could also be a 2011 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra. As a result, investigators have been reviewing information on persons in possession of a vehicle that is a 2011 to 2016 white Hyundai Elantra. Investigators were given access to video footage of the Washington State University, WSU campus in Pullman, Washington. A review of that video indicated that approximately 2:44 a.m. on November 13th, a white sedan, so now they're tracking him from Washington State to the murder house. Approximately 2:44 a.m. on November 13th, 2022, a white sedan, which is consistent with the description of the white Elantra known as Vehicle 1, was observed on WSU surveillance cameras traveling north on Southeast Nevada Street and Northeast Stadium Way at approximately 2:53 a.m. Okay. A white sedan, which is consistent with the description of the white Elantra, known as Vehicle 1, was observed traveling southeast on Nevada Street in Pullman, Washington, towards SR-270. SR-270 connects Pullman, Washington to Moscow, Idaho. The camera footage from Pullman, Washington was provided to the same FBI examiner. Forensic examiner identified the vehicle observed in Pullman as being a 2014 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra. So we're narrowing in on here. We're narrowing in on him. We're tracing him. We've traced him in front of the murder house. Now we're tracing him from Washington State to the murder house. At approximately 5:25 a.m., a white sedan, which is consistent with the description of the vehicle 1, was observed on 5 cameras in Pullman. He's coming home. And it's an hour and a half after he left. Well, I guess like an hour and 5 minutes, something like that, after he left the murder house, allegedly. So what did he do during that 1 hour time? Which is consistent with the description of vehicle 1, was observed 5 cameras in Pullman and WSU campus cameras. The first camera that recorded the white sedan was located at 1300 Johnson Road in Pullman. The white sedan was observed traveling northbound on Johnson Road. Johnson Road leads directly back to Moscow, which intersects with the drive. We know the technical driving thing here. Then it was observed traveling north. At approximately 5:27 a.m., the white Elantra was observed on camera traveling northbound on Stadium Way. And this is a really bad, I guess like a color scan of a color printout of a Google map or something like that. Depiction showing the path of travel. This is where he traveled on November 25. So now we're 2 weeks, nearly 2 weeks after the murders. MPD asked law enforcement agencies to be on the lookout for white Hyundai Elantras in the area on November 29th at approximately 12:28 a.m. Washington State University police officer Daniel Tiango queried white Elantras at WSU. Result of the query, located a 2015 white Elantra with a Pennsylvania license plate. The vehicle was registered to Bryan Kohberger. Here after Kohberger, now we're tying him directly. So he's been on their radar since November 29th. Since this was on the 13th, so 16 days, 2 weeks and 2 days after the murder happened, he's on their radar. It's approximately 3/4 of a mile from the intersection. Last camera location that picked up the white Elantra. The same day at approximately 12:58, WSU officer Curtis Whitman was looking for white Hyundai Elantras and located this Elantra in the Pullman in the parking lot, in an apartment complex parking lot. Officer Whitman also ran the car and it returned to Kohberger with a Washington tag. He changed his license plates. I believe it was 5 days after the murders from Pennsylvania to Washington. So now comes back with Washington tags. I reviewed Kohberger's Washington State driver's license information and photograph. The license indicates that Kohberger is a white male with a height of 6 foot and weighs 185 pounds. Additionally, the photograph of Kohberger shows he has bushy eyebrows. Kohberger's physical description is consistent with a description of the male DM saw inside the King Road residence on November 13th. Further investigation, including a review of Latah County Sheriff Deputy Corporal Duke's body cam and reports showed that on August 21st, Kohberger was detained as part of a traffic stop. This guy gets pulled over a lot. He was detained as part of a traffic stop that occurred in Moscow. At that time, Kohberger, who was a sole occupant, was driving the white 2015 Hyundai Elantra with Pennsylvania plates, which was set to expire on November 30th, 2022. So he made the switch over to the Idaho plates, apparently not because he was trying to hide from having murdered someone, allegedly, but just because his Pennsylvania tags were running out. And he's required by Idaho state law to, I believe, within 6 months of moving there, change your plates and things over. Taxation, people, it's real. During the stop, which was recorded via law enforcement body cam, Kohberger provided his phone number as blah 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 8458. Hereafter, the what's called the phone as a cellular number. Investigators conducted electronic database queries and learned that the phone is a number issued by AT&T. Now, this is an interesting thing to me because this phone provides a lot of really interesting evidence. We've got the camera footage showing him leaving, going there, hanging around the neighborhood, and then promptly leaving right after the murders were committed and going back. But the cell phone tracking is pretty interesting to me. Alrighty. He was detained as part of the traffic stop. All right, there we go. All right. Investigators believe Kohberger is still driving the 2015 white Elantra because his vehicle was captured on December 13th, 2022 by a license plate reader in Loma, Colorado. Kohberger's Elantra was then queried on December 15th by law enforcement in Indiana. On December 16th, surveillance showed Kohberger's Elantra in Albertville, Pennsylvania. The sole occupant of the vehicle was a white male whose description was consistent with Kohberger. His family lives in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. Learned through a TLO search. Based on the information provided on the WSU website, Kohberger is currently a PhD student in criminology. We know all this. Pursuant to records provided, he has undergraduate degrees in psychology and cloud-based forensics. Records show Kohberger wrote an essay when he applied for an internship with Pullman Police Department. He wanted an internship with the Pullman Police Department in the fall of 2022. So literally just a month or two before he allegedly killed these people, he wanted a job as an intern at the police department. It's kind of awkward and creepy. That's one thing I find creepy. This is like, he's like going full Dexter here. Yeah. He wrote in his essay he had an interest in assisting rural law enforcement agencies with how to better collect and analyze technological data in public safety operations. Kohberger also posted a Reddit survey, which can be found by an open source internet search. The survey asked for participants to provide information to understand how emotions and psychological traits influence decision making when committing a crime. We've talked about that extensively over the past week. As part of this investigation, law enforcement obtained search warrants to determine cellular devices that utilize cellular towers in close proximity to the King Road residence on November 13th between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. After determining that Kohberger was associated to both the white Elantra and the phone, investigators reviewed these search warrant returns. A query of the phone in these returns did not show that the phone was using cellular tower resources in close proximity to the road between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. During the time the murders were committed, his cell phone wasn't pinging from any nearby towers. Well, that sort of seems like he wasn't there, doesn't it? Well, did he leave his phone at home or did he do something else? Let's see what the coppers think. Based on my training and experience in conversation with law enforcement officers that specialize in the utilization of cellular telephone records as part of investigations, individuals can either leave their cellular telephone at a different location before committing a crime or turn their cellular telephone off prior to a location to commit a crime. This is something that happens all the time in drug running. Whoever's doing it, they'll send a mule somewhere to a different state with their phone so that that's where the phone is being tracked, and then they'll go off somewhere. And they think that's an alibi, but it seldom works out that way. This is done by subjects in an effort to avoid alerting law enforcement that a cellular device associated with them was in a particular area when a crime is committed. I also know that on numerous occasions, subjects will surveil an area where they intend to commit a crime prior to the date of the crime. So there we go. They're linking the phone to the prior times he was in the area. Depending on the circumstances, this could be done a few days before or several months prior to the commission of a crime. During these types of surveillance, it is possible that an individual would not leave their cellular telephone at a separate location or turn it off, since they did not plan on committing the offense on that particular day. Yeah, so they don't care. They're just in the neighborhood. They don't really think that they're going to be linked back to this at some point in time. On December 23rd, 2022, I applied for and was granted a search warrant for historical phone records between November 12th at 12 a.m. and November 14th at 12 a.m. for the phone held by the provider AT&T. On December 23rd, I received the records for the phone. The records indicate that the phone is subscribed to Bryan Kohberger at an address in Pennsylvania, and the account had been open since June 23rd, 2022. The records also include in case it's cell information. We can skip down through some of this. It's just, the basic information. FBI provides testimony, require past extensive training and both written and practical examinations. The guy is looking at it, what his experience is. Okay, and this is what it shows. On November 13th, this is the day of the murders, at approximately 2:42 a.m., the phone was utilizing cellular resources that provide coverage to Pullman, Washington, where Kohberger lived. So 2:42 a.m., his residence is being pinged. At 2:47 a.m., 5 minutes later, the coverage is going southeast from his residence, consistent with him traveling on the route to Pullman. That is consistent with the movement of the white Elantra. You got his cell phone moving, you got his car moving, you got him moving, all towards Moscow, Idaho. At approximately 2:47 a.m., the phone stopped reporting to the network. He thought he was being clever. He probably turned it off and took his battery out and did all those other little precautions. Stops reporting the network, which is consistent with either the phone being an area without cellular coverage or the phone is turned off. The phone does not report to the network again until approximately 4:48 a.m., at which time it utilizes cellular resources provided by on I-95 south of Moscow, Idaho. So basically what he did is, it seems he turned the phone off, went stabby, and then turned his cell phone back on after he was away from the crime. So this lack of evidence, this absence of evidence, this absence of his cell phone pinging, when it had been pinging all the way up before that, suddenly is not pinging during a murder, and then is suddenly starting to ping again after the murder. That absence of pinging during the murder can also be used as evidence that he was attempting to cover up his tracks. So he was thinking, aha, they're not going to have evidence, but this lack of evidence is evidence, if it's proven. Okay, and approximately 5:30 a.m., the phone is utilizing coverage provided to Pullman. So he's going back home. Movements are consistent with the phone's movements are consistent with the Elantra's movements as it was picked up on the cameras. So they're keeping the phone and the people together, the phone and the car together. Further review indicates the phone utilized cell services on November 13th that are consistent with the phone leaving the area of the Kohberger residence at 9 a.m. and traveling to Moscow, Idaho. So he went back after he went home. And then at 9 a.m., he went back to the murder scene. He went back there. That's creepy too. And that is something very common to criminals. Very common to criminals. They'll go back to the scene of the crime. Arsonists want to watch the building burn. They want to watch the fire truck come in. People are always going back to the scene of the crime because that's up there in their head. They want to see the aftermath. Ugh. So yeah, he goes back. And his cell phone pings around the King Road residence between 9:12 a.m. and 9:21 a.m. the morning after the murder's committed. Then he travels back towards his home again at 9:32. Would you imagine he was disappointed that there wasn't a big fervor? Because they didn't call the 911 until about 11 something that morning. So he probably went back expecting to see a big commotion and nothing was happening. I wonder if that disappointed him. Below is a depiction not to scale of the possible route taken. We don't need to worry about that. Let's see. Based on my training experience and the facts in investigation thus far, I believe the Kohberger, to be the user of the phone. He was likely also the driver of the Elantra, which is observed departing Pullman. And so the lack of the phone reporting to AT&T between 2:47 and 2:48 a.m. is consistent with Kohberger attempting to conceal his location during the quadruple homicide that occurred at the King Road residence. That's exactly what I was just saying. And then December 23rd, I was granted a search warrant for Kohberger's historical CSLI from June 23rd. So now they want all of his information. They want all of his cell phone information from June 23rd, from the day he got his phone to the present time, to determine if he ever stalked the victims. And then they conducted surveillance of the King's Road. And they found that, yes, in fact, he had. He got the historical records on December 23rd, and he determined the estimated locations of the phone from June 2022 to the present, and the records for the phone utilizing cellular data, all of these occasions, on at least 12 prior occasions between June and November, his phone was pinging on the same area of coverage where the murder house is located. So he's been around the very close vicinity of the murder house at least 12 times since June, up to the time of the murders. All of these occasions, except for one, occurred in the late evening and early morning hours. So he's creeping around at night. He's creeping around at night, casing the joint at night, at least 12 times. One of these occasions, on August 21st, the phone utilized cellular resources covering the King Road residence from approximately 10:34 to 11:35. He was hanging around for an hour. At approximately 11:37, he stopped by the Latah County Sheriff's Department. He was stopped again. He got pulled over again, or that was the same time he got pulled over. And the phone was consistent with the location of the traffic stop when he was pulled over. And further analysis of the cellular data provided showed that the phone utilized cellular resources on November 13th, consistent with phone traveling from Pullman. So we get this here, and then he goes this Kate's Cup of Joe coffee stand on November 13th at approximately 12:36 p.m. So he's still kind of hanging around the Lewiston. Lewiston is south of Moscow, so he's hanging around Lewiston. He's still kind of in that area. And then Clarkston is in that same area as Lewiston. And he shows his car there. And then at 12:46, he's in this grocery store. So they're just tracking him minute to minute. 12:49, the cameras are showing him walking through the store, purchasing some items. And here's another bad picture. Additional analysis of the records indicate that between approximately 5:32 p.m. and 5:36 p.m., he was in Johnson, Idaho. The phone stops reporting from the network from approximately 5:36 to 8:30 p.m. The December 27th, Pennsylvania agents start digging through the trash at his parents' house. They recovered the trash from Kohberger's family residence located in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. That evidence was sent to the Idaho State Lab for testing. This is the DNA stuff here. On December 28th, 2022, the Idaho State Lab reported that a DNA profile obtained from the trash and the DNA profile obtained from the sheath identified a male as not being excluded as the biological father of the profile. So they compared the DNA on the knife and the DNA on the trash, and the DNA on the trash was at least 99.9998% excluded anybody else other than his father. So that's about as close to 100% as you can get, that the DNA on the trash was the father of the DNA on the knife handle. Based on the above information, I'm requesting an arrest warrant be issued for Bryan C. Kohberger, date of birth 11/21/1994, for burglary at 1122 King Street in Moscow, Idaho, and 4 counts of murder in the first degree for the murders of Madison Mogen, Kaylee, Goncalves, Xana, Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. I declare under penalty of perjury, pursuant to the law of the state of Idaho, that the foregoing is true and correct. That's the affidavit. They've got his phone linked to being around the house at least 12 times between June and the murders. And it's always in the middle of the night. They've got his DNA on the sheath of it, and that is huge. That DNA on the knife is huge. That's a huge break. I don't know what else they have, because again, they don't have to put everything inside that affidavit. Just enough to provide a prima facie argument for a probable cause that he probably did this. So let's arrest him. So that's where they are with that. They've got his phone hanging around there. They've got his car on cameras going around there. They have a pretty decent description of him being in the house. The people seeing him. That's creepy AF. It looks really, really bad for him. After seeing this again, if they can prove what is in that affidavit, he's done, just done. But again, like they likely have a lot more than that, or they're working on getting a lot more than what's in that affidavit. That's not all. So as this trial goes on, as we move towards a resolution, we're going to see what arguments. I don't know how much we're going to be able to see, because the prosecution and the defense lawyers are under a gag order to not reveal anything about the investigation or the evidence, anything that could affect the trial. But we'll just have to wait and see. But now it's looking to me, I'm convinced he did it. I'm still presuming I'm still presuming innocence from a legal standpoint. From a practical, my own personal judgment, he's guilty as hell. But can the prosecution prove that? All right, here we go. I need to wrap this up because I got to get ready for my other stream in 20 minutes. And to do that, we have to burn through these super chats that deal with the stream that's coming up in 20 minutes. We'll continue to follow the Idaho stuff as it develops. If there's anything important that happens, anything important that's reported, if there's any changes in the hearings, whatever, we'll do it. We'll be on top of it. So come back for more for that. We wrap this up with definitely not Brandon saying, "Hey, old man, I came here to procreate and drink, and I'm running out of booze." Well, find some more booze, because I ain't procreating with you. We'll add this to the tally. I'm not a map. Leave me alone, Wall. Says, "We're going streaking. Come on, Jeffrey, bring your sea captain's hat. We're going streaking." All righty. And Wild Red 1905 says, "The defense. Now remember, jury, I don't have to prove anything. Edited for YouTube's pleasure." I wonder what you wrote that had to be edited. "I'm a map. Leave me alone. Come on, just bang these shots out in the first hour for old time's sake." We'll get to them quickly in the second stream. Thank you so much for all of the super chats, especially from the Brandon Collective. Those are deeply appreciated, and that's what we're going to be doing now. We're going to end this stream now. 20 minutes from now, we're going to start a second stream, which is just my F at Friday stream. I do it once a month on Fridays. We grift for $100 shots. We got some top tier whiskey here. We're just going to see how liquored up I can get, and we're going to have a bunch of friends to hang around with. So it'll be fun. Last time my 2-hour drunk stream went 8.5 hours. So we'll see how it goes. Come back later. Check my channel, Legal Vices, 20 minutes from now to enjoy the griftathon. The booze-filled griftathon is coming up. Alan, thank you for being here, mod. I believe you're the only mod that made it on this impromptu thing here. If there are any other mods that I didn't see because I was reading the entire time, great. Chat, you're the best chat on the internet. Hands down, the Vice Squad rules. Thank you for being here. Hit that like button if you get a chance, and subscribe if you also get a chance to do that. If you're interested in it, we're going to continue doing this, and I'll hope to see you all in about 20 minutes over on the other stream. Until then, until we meet again, hopefully very, very soon, don't forget to enjoy your legal vices, because I'm fixing to enjoy the hell out of my legal vices right about now. Let me just make sure we get here. Go. Okay, I'm I'm not a map. Leave me alone. Wall says, go eat or grab water. Mistress Meg, 1 month of the clean and sober crew, says, have you seen my stripper pole? No, I have not seen your stripper pole. All right. I believe I got all the super chats. If I did miss any of these, I will make an announcement of them in the next stream. I'll pull up my spreadsheet because I got to have my spreadsheet for when the drinks start flowing. All right, guys, take care. See you. I'm going to go enjoy my legal vices in about 20 minutes. We'll see you there. Peace out.